But don't do too much on Jackie Robinson now. Okay? It's the DEI in the room with us. They're going to eat me over the clip. I got to start being aware that sometimes people will try to clip me, making me look crazy. Because, people try to call me a DEI hire. I work too hard for this chair to be a DEI hire. Okay? I might be a little diverse, but ain't nothing equitable about here. You can't sit in my chair. You're not included in my chair. This ain't DEI. But when it comes to Jackie Robinson, y'all know Jackie Robinson, baseball legend, military hero. Shout out to Jackie Robinson. So this legend, just a little background on him and what the whole scandal is regarding Jackie. He was born on January 31st, 1999 in Cairo, Georgia. He was then raised in Pasadena, California by a single mother after his father left. Never beating the fatherless allegations. The father absence allegations are very much harming my community. But he still overcame the odds. He excelled in multiple sports at UCLA. He was the first athlete there to letter in 4 different sports. He lettered in baseball, basketball, football, and track. He was the jack of all trades. So Jackie Robinson, he went into the MLB. He broke all these different records. He broke the color barrier back in 1947 as the first black player for the Brooklyn Dodgers. And he actually did endure racism. You have to remember, this is before civil rights. Okay, when we talk about racism of the past, we're not trying to erase history here. We're not trying to whitewash history here. We're not trying to glamorize history here. What was happening in the 1940s was very, very ugly. What happened prior to the civil rights movement was very, very ugly. Okay, nobody's denying that. I can only imagine the slurs and the hate that he dealt with being a black man in the MLB, the first one to do it, I believe. If not the very first, he was amongst the first. And nevertheless, he did not allow that to stop him. He kept going. He persevered. He stood on business. He was the Rookie of the Year in 1947. He then became the MVP 2 years later. He's, I believe, a 6-time All-Star. He helped the Dodgers win the World Series. This is a man whose accolades speak for themselves. He has a .311 batting average, however you would say that. He has a .311 batting average, which I looked it up. That is beyond excellent. Like, a very good batting average is 270 to 290. If you're over 300, you're considered exceptional. And he had multiple seasons over 300. He is in the Hall of Fame for a reason, because with a batting average like that, you don't miss. Okay, so I say all this to say, also, another fact for you, he stole over 197 bases. He wasn't out here stealing shoes like Peanut and them. He wasn't some hood rat. He was out here stealing bases. He was averaging 15 to 20 steals per year in a time where that was not very common. Actually, and he had 37 in 1949. Like, Jackie Robinson didn't play. Don't play on his name. And before that, he was a military hero. He was drafted into the U.S. Army in 1942, and he served as a second lieutenant. So with all the great things that he has going on in his life, he was celebrated on the Department of Defense's website. There was a website dedicated to him, and the purpose of the website was Sports Heroes Who Served. It was a series highlighting athletes with military service that was published back in 2021. And the focus was really, again, on his World War II Army service before the MLB. And the whole thing portrayed him as an American hero. It was very patriotic, and it really shows just how far a country has come. Now, what made me mad is I'm very pro wiping the DEI, the transgender stuff all off of the government websites, because we don't need any of that. But somebody, I'm hoping it was a mistake, somebody went and removed Jackie Robinson's page from the Department of Defense that was a part of this series. But what made me really, really irritated by it is not only did they remove it, but they changed the URL to include DEI sports in the URL. Maybe the person who did this is not educated on who Jackie Robinson is, but Jackie Robinson is not a DEI hire. Okay? Like, how dare you? How dare you add that into the URL? It was quickly restored, I believe, just a day after, because there was so much backlash, and the original URL was put, the original content was preserved in archives for a bit, but I do believe the website is, up and back to normal now. So I want to really break this down for y'all, because a lot of people have been saying DEI, and it is a word that I feel like is very overexposed. I talk about DEI a lot. I'm very aware of what DEI is and what DEI has become. But what we're not going to do is confuse what could have been considered DEI back then versus what it is now. Because I saw people even saying that he's a DEI legend. Well, Jackie Robinson was at an era where diversity was not allowed, equity was not anywhere on the table, equality is the term I prefer, and that for sure still wasn't on the table, and they were very much excluded until he forced himself to be, he was so good, he forced them to include him. Okay, so this wasn't the DEI that we see today. This is a man who dealt with real racism, real segregation, and real inequality, and he overcame it all regardless of the odds. This is somebody that should be set as the standard of Black excellence, not as a DEI hire. Okay, that is a term that is getting so overexposed. And again, and I'm not like, obviously President Trump didn't go and do this himself, but somebody on his team, I'm just going to give the benefit of the doubt and assume that they were ignorant on who Jackie Robinson really was. And because it mentions things of, oh, he was the first Black, he was the first Black. First Black does not always mean something bad. It's corny nowadays in most situations. But in a time like that, in an era like that, it was very meaningful to be the first Black MLB player. He earned his position regardless of race. And that is the difference. So let me paint this out for y'all. Let me draw this out. Okay, I made a DEI versus not DEI Venn diagram. Okay, let's bring up the blank slate. Okay. Y'all know how Venn diagrams work, right? I love a Venn diagram. Shout out to Venn diagrams. So on the left, you have DEI. On the right, you have not DEI. An example of a DEI hire. Let's run it up. Karine Jean-Pierre. Karine Jean-Pierre is a DEI hire. Okay, and the reason I say that is because, yes, she has some credentials. She's got a little piece of education on her. But the very first thing that this woman made clear the second she got on the podium is how she is Black, she's queer, she's an immigrant, and probably a few other intersectionalities. Okay, the very first thing that she had to let us know is all the different intersectionalities of Victim Bingo Olympics that she holds. Okay, and when it comes to all the people who were eligible for this role, she just was not good. It's like, I wonder, did she audition? Because I remember her stumbling all 4 years. And I was rooting for her. I was really rooting for her in the first half because, you know, I was just getting over my stint of being woke when she became the new press secretary. But oh my goodness, was she terrible at her job. And she would have been fired, in my opinion, had she not been this Black, lesbian, curly-headed immigrant. Okay, that is a DEI hire. Now, someone who is not a DEI hire is Simone Biles. Shout out to Black women. Shout out to Simone Biles. Simone Biles, the standard, the legend, the GOAT. You're not touching Simone Biles. Nobody's going to touch her probably this century. Okay, if you don't know who this queen is, this American treasure, she is the most accoladed male or female in all of gymnastics, I believe. She is the most accoladed athlete in all of gymnastics, if I recall correctly. She literally is the standard. She did moves that were so difficult that they became banned. That is how good Simone Biles is. Nobody will ever be able to have the audacity to twist their lips and say that Simone Biles doesn't deserve every gold medal that she has, because she earned it. She worked hard for it. She is an American treasure, an American hero. Okay? So see the difference. One, questionable qualifications. Wasn't good at the job. Should have been fired, but she kept the job because of the way she looks and who she sleeps with. Then on the other side, it doesn't matter who Simone Biles sleeps with. Simone Biles could be as white as an albino snowman, and she would still be that girl. Simone Biles would still be the GOAT. And then, what I love about a Venn diagram, there's always a little bit of gray room. Right there in the middle, the perfect example of the middle of a DEI versus not DEI Venn diagram. Barack Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Hear me out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. Now, Barack Obama, on paper, perfect candidate as a president, objectively. Okay, he was fast-tracked to senator. He is an incredible speaker. He might be lying. He might be lying his behind off the whole time he's at the podium, but it sure does sound convincing. He was legitimately a great candidate as far as credentials goes, as far as credibility goes. However, we can't deny that a lot of the people who voted for Barack Obama simply voted for him because they wanted a Black president. A lot of people did. So many people will admit to you that they wanted to prove a point that America is no longer racist. And it was a beautiful moment in American history. You know, the next 8 years might have been the pit of hell, but the moment where Obama, I feel like objectively, the moment when Obama was elected, it was one of those moments of, wow, America has come really far. This shows just how removed we are from the oppression Olympics. Okay, so that is giving DEI. But he does have the credentials even without DEI. You get what I'm saying? So Karine Jean-Pierre didn't deserve her job. Barack Obama, he earned it, just wasn't good at it, but he earned it technically. But there was definitely a push because of his skin color. Simone Biles, that girl. Shout out to Simone Biles. You did that, Simone Biles. And that's all I have to say about that. Let me know if you need another masterclass. I need to start doing more Venn diagrams for you guys because I want to really break it down for you.